Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You may also find us on television, Channel 182 on Charter Communications, and Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast, Net News. This is like such a good newscast. So it's the newscasters.com. I have with me, I know everybody's just sending me all kinds of emails, some good, some hateful, some not at me or not at AP, but about the Alabama-Georgia game. I have AP Steadham with me right now. Hey, AP, welcome back.
Hey, Donna, so glad to be here again. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad to have you back. Wasn't that a nail-biter of a game?
It sure was, Donna. Yeah, I wasn't sure what would happen. I thought Georgia would win because, 29 games in a row. They have a sensational team. They were playing strong, beating up everybody, including our friends to the north, Tennessee. And they barely got by Auburn, 27-20. Auburn played a terrific game during the season. But I thought that because both teams stumbled the week before, Alabama beat Auburn, but let's remember Auburn's a 6-5 team. Alabama had to come from behind in the last minute, and then Georgia Tech played from the ACC, played Georgia very tough, 31-23 in Atlanta. So I thought to myself, well, they didn't play very well against these 6-5 teams. We're going to get their best. We're going to get their best on Saturday, and I thought we did, although Alabama was successful in slowing down their sensational tight end for Georgia, number 19, Brock Bowers, and Carson Beck. He completed 21 passes down, but just for 243 yards. They had the 150-yard play. But they slowed them down offensively because Georgia was putting up big numbers, 30 to 50 points in some of these SEC games. So, but Alabama and Georgia, Donnie, we know they start slow. They're a slow starting team, but they came out Saturday. My goodness, they went right down the field. You're thinking, oh my God, I don't know if Alabama's gonna be able to stop them, but they were able to readjust, and Georgia kind of stumbled their way to catch up in the fourth quarter. But Alabama prevailed. And Jalen Milroe had a good ball game, made enough throws. And Donnie, you can cover him 10 times, keep him corralled. But then on the 11th time, he takes off. He's very fast and strong. So Alabama came away with that 27-24 victory for the SEC championship of 2023.
Okay, let's talk about the rankings. And I mean the official rankings, not the armchair quarterback.
Yes.
How we finished that?
Well, Donna, the college football made their decision. The playoff committee, the 13 people, came up with Michigan number 1, Washington number 2, Texas number 3, who had defeated Alabama by double digits in Tuscaloosa in early September. And then they put Alabama number 4, Florida State number 5, who was undefeated in the ACC, 13-0, and Georgia with the 1 loss at number 6. I would tell you right now, Donna, that I did not agree with that number 4 ranking of Alabama because the ACC champion was undefeated. They did everything you could. They have a sensational defense. They've won games now, Donna, the last 2 with the second string and third string quarterback. They played a Louisville team that had gotten beat by Kentucky in Louisville because, Kentucky had beaten them now 5 times in a row, but they beat Notre Dame during the year. They were a high scoring team. Florida State had a sensational defense, held them to 6 points. Their quarterback did not lose the game. They won it. They won it, the championship fair and square. And I just think when you're in a Power 5 conference and you're undefeated and you played LSU and beat them by 3 touchdowns at the beginning of the season. And Donna, let's take note. Jaden Daniels potentially might win the Heisman. They're scoring 48, 50 points a game. Florida State, with that defense, held them to 24. That's the least amount of points. LSU at Tuscaloosa scored 28, and Jaden Daniels got hurt either the end of the third or beginning of the fourth, and he was on his way to maybe scoring 35 or 42. He had 28 already. And that Florida State team, there's comparable opponents, held the high scoring. I think they ended up being the highest scoring team in the country to 24 points. Nobody can do that all year. So that's why I think that Florida State, they earned their way in there. And I was very disappointed, Don, that they were dismissive of the second and third string quarterback and the coaching staff and the rest of the team for Florida State saying, well, we don't believe you have a chance. We're going to put in Alabama instead of you. And even though Alabama has that loss, double-digit loss at home. As we see, Don, it's very difficult to go undefeated. You have Michigan undefeated, Washington undefeated, Florida State undefeated. Okay, of the top teams, of the top teams. But I thought that the decision was wrong, and it was really disappointing. And
Mhm.
they could justify it down because I've been on these seminar selection mock situations, and they have all these guidelines. Win your conference, head to head. You have a tough strength of schedule, and they look at the common opponents. But in the end, on it, they can vote any way they want and justify it.
Absolutely. So, what was the justification for Alabama to be above Georgia?
I think they used that little clause in the guidelines saying we can look at the injuries, but my thing is, if you look at the quarterback, that's one player. We know that Jordan Travis, the quarterback of Florida State, was a tremendous player. One of the reasons they won so many games, but I feel that Florida State was just not a quarterback. I watched them in person against LSU, dismantle that team, come up with 45 points the opening game. They have excellent receivers, running backs, offensive line, defense. They have some edge rushers that are as good as anybody as a unit in college football. And like I said, they play tough defense. So I think they could have won and had about 3 weeks to get their quarterback situation figured out with their coaching staff. And they could have challenged people, but they projected that Florida State was not going to be a challenge. So we're going to put it in Alabama. So I think they went against their own philosophy, really.
I think they did too. And we have a lot of Georgia viewers who are very upset about Alabama being above them.
Right. And the Georgia team, I mean, all I can say is, Donna, in college basketball, they take the 68, 69 teams. So I don't cry too many tears because you're getting so many teams from those power conferences. But in the college football, when you just have 4, every game, and that's the beauty of college football. Every game counts. Every game counts. Here they are playing in Georgia, in Atlanta, 29 straight. I mean, they're beating up Tennessee. They're beating up Ole Miss. They're beating up. They played a good team. Missouri beat them. I think it was 8 or 9 points. That Missouri's a good team. Just 2 losses during the season. They're ranked. They're ranked. And they won all those games. But Alabama, they couldn't beat them. So you have to live with the fact that you had your moment and you didn't make it. You just didn't. You didn't win the ball game.
Well, let me ask you another thing, and this could have been a factor too for Auburn, who has lost so many games this year. But for Auburn to get so close to winning that game against Georgia, could that have been a factor as well?
Well, Donna, when you look at Alabama's schedule, and I'm going to refer to Georgia as well. You look at Alabama; they played Arkansas. No, Donna, Arkansas. You know how many games they won this year in the conference? Arkansas, 1 game. Alabama beat them by 3 points. They hung on to win by 3 points. So that's really a negative for Alabama. Georgia played an Auburn team, just like you said. 7-point game. Brock Bowers took over the sensational tight end in the last drive. They beat Auburn 27-20. Auburn had I think 10-point lead, 14-point lead, whatever it was at the time, because like I said, Georgia always started slow during the season. But it wasn't enough of a negative to keep the committee from putting Florida State at 5 and Alabama at 4. Those 2 tight losses. I mean 2 tight wins against a team that won 1 game in the conference. Arkansas and Auburn, who they had to beat in the last 31 seconds. And Georgia, like I said, played Georgia Tech from the ACC. That was a tight ball game. But everywhere else, Georgia they were a hot team, right? They scored a lot of points. I mean, they beat everybody. Kentucky 52 to whatever that score was, and Tennessee and Knoxville and Florida and Jacksonville. I was at that game, and like I said, they had that tight game against Auburn. But their chance to win was right there in Atlanta, and they just came up short. And the reason that Alabama is in the playoffs, Donna, is because they put in Texas. They were not going to let Alabama in the playoffs if they didn't put in Texas, because Texas had the 1 loss. They went to Tuscaloosa, scheduled a big team. Alabama, what did you do? Oh, we went to Tuscaloosa. We beat them by 10 points. When was the last time somebody beat Alabama by 10 points in Tuscaloosa? I'm thinking it was way back when maybe Texas A&M had Johnny Manziel at quarterback. I can't even remember now. I have to, it's not in the top of my memory. Yeah. I mean, very rarely somebody beats Alabama by 10 points anywhere. And, they beat them, Texas did. So once Texas was in, you knew there was an outside chance that, Alabama could be at 4 and they could shut out Florida State. and they could shut out Georgia as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Donna, what happened was the committee felt the SEC is always promoting how they're strong and just means more. And they were not going to leave out the SEC, even though Florida State, in my opinion, they earned the right to be called the best at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. What a game. Let's go ahead and get into a commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there, okay? We shall be right back. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas, or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
My Towels solved the problem that we've all had with towels. You go into the stores and they feel lotiony and soft, but then you get them home and they wouldn't dry you. That's why I made My Towels. They actually work, they're soft, and they absorb. And now I'm excited to announce 2 brand new lines of My Towels. What makes them the best towels ever is they're now made with 100% long staple Shapir cotton. This is a combed ring-spun cotton that makes My Towels even softer and more absorbent than ever. And now you get a 6-piece set for an amazing introductory sale price as low as $29.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get My Towels for only $29.98. Or you can get my designer premium line for just $20 more. Either way, you save 50% now on all My Towels. They actually work. What a concept. This offer won't last long, so please order now. MyPillow.com.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests.
At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Good afternoon. We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, and syndicated on Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast there as well, thenewscasters.com. You can find us. You can also find us on radio, icradio.media. We have everybody's favorite talk show hosts, especially when it pertains to sports. AP Steadham is with us right now. Man, I got some hot messages over the weekend.
I bet you did, Donna. Yeah, I bet you they were on fire. Yeah,
yeah, that was
folks,
something.
They're not happy.
Yeah. If you want to tick off a whole bunch of people, come up with the rankings that you came up with. Not you, but
right. Yeah. That committee, right? They don't like that committee. Yeah, a lot of folks are not happy with the final choice. No.
So we have some upcoming bowl games. So let's talk about those. What do you think about them? Which is the one that you're looking forward to the most?
Yeah, Donna, you know, outside of the playoffs, I mean, everybody's going to watch those playoffs. Would be Michigan, number 1 versus number 4, Alabama in the Rose Bowl. And just to let people know, you know, Alabama had played in the Rose Bowl. Last one was 1946, Donna. And then they played the Rose Bowl, Donna. But the game during the COVID was held in Arlington, Texas.
Yeah.
So they played in the Rose Bowl since 46, but it was not in California. They moved it to Arlington, Texas. They played the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl in Arlington, Texas. So this would be really the first time since 1946. And I'm thinking, Donna, I don't know if the University of Alabama $1 Million Band, this might be the first time in the Rose Bowl parade. I have to research that, but it might be. So that's an historic moment for the band. Yeah. But anyway, outside of the playoffs, and you have the Texas plays Washington in the Sugar Bowl. But I'm looking at this Georgia-Florida State game. Florida State number 5, Georgia number 6 playing in the Orange Bowl. Both teams are mad. They're not satisfied. And I'm hoping that most of their players will compete in the game, not opt out for the draft or being in the transfer portal. So I'm looking at that game. That could be quite interesting because now it's the SEC versus the ACC team. And you said we weren't good enough. We couldn't win with our backup quarterbacks. They're going to have about a month to get this figured out. And then we're going to see if Georgia, if they're still motivated and inspired to represent the SEC, because believe me, Florida State is going to be highly motivated to play against a Georgia team that had won 29, 40, I guess it's, 46 out of 48 now, maybe something like that. And they're right there next to each other, border schools, competing for many of the same players. So that game, Don, I think Orange Bowl hit the jackpot for not being in the playoffs, I think.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a hot game in more. As a matter of fact, you may have more viewers for that one than any of the bowl games.
I mean, they're going to get a lot of viewers to watch that. You know, people are interested. But anyhow, so I'll just, Don, if you want me to, I'll go over the SEC games for the bowls. You got the Peach Bowl, Penn State, Ole Miss. I don't think they've ever played each other, Donna. That's number 10, Penn State versus number 11, Ole Miss. I don't think they've played each other. Ohio State, number 7, in the Cotton Bowl versus number 9, Missouri. That'll be a good game. But I think Ohio State's quarterback has opted to be in the transfer portal, so that's a whole new twist. Imagine that time you throwing for 3,500 plus yards or whatever, and you're going to transfer. I don't know why. That just happened today. So then you have Iowa and Tennessee. Iowa number 17, Tennessee number 21 in the Citrus Bowl. Iowa trouble scoring points. Tennessee had trouble scoring points this year, but he's more of an offensive coach, Josh Heupel with Tennessee. So they're trying to end the season on a good note. They did not have a good year, as I said many times. Lost to Florida by double digits, Alabama, Missouri, 36-7 in Columbia, and then Georgia just waxed them as well. So Tennessee, it has not been a fun year for them. So I don't know if they're motivated, Donna. And that's the key when you're trying to understand these bowls. Which team wants to be there to win the game? Some of them, they want to end the season. They said, we had enough. We didn't do very well. We want to go home. The Gator Bowl, Clemson versus Kentucky. Music City Bowl, we have Maryland versus Auburn. The ReliaQuest Bowl, that's in Tampa, that's Wisconsin versus LSU. So those are the SEC teams, Donna, that we mentioned. And the teams staying home, Arkansas, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Vandy, and Florida.
South Carolina was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, I thought they would have.
As well.
I thought they possibly would have won a game or two more to be bowl eligible, but they didn't. Yeah.
Sometimes things just happen. At the beginning of the season, and I know you're really good at calling it, but we were surprised. We thought, you and I both thought, Tennessee was going to come out really strong, and they did at first. What happened? They lost steam.
Yeah. I think the quarterback play and the supporting cast, the receivers were just not as good. They had the running game. They had 3 runners that were very good. Mm-hmm. Defensively, they kind of fell off to some degree as well. So really, I knew the quarterback was not going to be as good. I understood that point about this version of the Tennessee team, but I didn't realize that the receivers would not be as good as well. And so he didn't have the support, but they're going to have to get after it because this is becoming really competitive again with Texas and Oklahoma coming on board next year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's going to really change the scene a lot.
Yeah, the SEC, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as the stats, as far as losing seniors this year, which teams do you think are going to be the weaker and which ones do you think are going to be the strongest next season? Yeah,
I'm looking, down a lot. I always start off at the quarterback position. So in the conference, Kentucky will have a new quarterback, I believe. South Carolina, I think, will have a new quarterback. Tennessee will, but they've got a star player from California. We're hoping they're hoping he has evolved into being a competent player in the SEC. LSU have a new quarterback. Texas A&M might have a new quarterback. Arkansas, their quarterback's in the transfer portal, KJ Jefferson. Ole Miss, we'll see what happens with that quarterback position. Mississippi State, their quarterback, Will Rogers, who throws for over 10,000 yards. He's in the transfer portal with a new coach and everything. So I think, Alabama's returned Jalen Milroe. I think Auburn, they're looking for another quarterback to transfer to Auburn. Florida, I'm not sure about their quarterback, Graham Mertz. So it's hard to tell. But I know Alabama's got their quarterback returning. Georgia should have their quarterback, Carson, back, I believe. I think he's coming back. Vanderbilt, they'll be looking for a quarterback. They're both in the transfer portal, I believe. So a lot of new quarterbacks down there. So when you say there's new quarterbacks, as we saw, people really focus in on that position. So much that Florida State got left out because their quarterback hurt his leg, injured his leg. So with authority, I just say, Alabama has a returning quarterback, so they have their usual talent as well.
So who do you think it will be emerging now? Who's going to be the surprise, the Cinderella team next year? With all the information you have now about quarterbacks and that kind of thing. Yeah,
I forgot to mention Missouri. I think their quarterback should be returning. Missouri could be really good with Luther Burden, the third wide receiver, had an exceptional season, and their quarterback Brady Cook. So they could be very good in that SEC Eastern Division. They may challenge, And I think he's getting some better players too. So they could be a surprise in the East, I would say, because everybody at this point, you're probably going to favor Georgia again. Georgia's favorite again, which they should be, I believe. They should be the favorite at this point. But Missouri could challenge over there. That would be a surprise in the East. The West.
Well, before you get started there, when we come to SEC, I think Georgia they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're going to come out for blood this year.
Yeah, it's different. It'll be a different team. It'll be a different team, Donnie, because people come and go. But Kirby Smart will remind them, they didn't finish well with the loss in the championship game. Now with the bowl game, if they really do not play well in the bowl game, the Georgia fans, they're really not going to be happy because you're thinking we have pride in these red jerseys. Let's represent. We're playing the ACC 13-0. We don't want to be the team that says, "Hey, the ACC whipped us, and we're representing the SEC. We're getting the ACC's best, 13-0. So we've got to play a good ball game, and
I think they will.
I think they would.
I think they're going to really finish off probably the biggest win they've had all season.
They could be embarrassed if they don't. Probably they could be if they don't get ready to play. Yeah.
I think so. Okay. I'm sorry I interrupted you. I just had to throw that in there.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. And then in the West, surprise in the West. Oh my goodness. Maybe let's see what Ole Miss does, Donna. Again, 10-2 this year with a chance to have 11 games, win 11 games. That hasn't happened very much. So let's see if Ole Miss can continue to get better on the defensive side. Offensively, they're usually capable, but it's that defensive side. And then in the big games, they did not perform well offensively. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, a lot to prove. A lot of things happened this year. What was your surprise play of the entire season in the Southeastern Conference?
Oh, the surprise play. It has to be that 4th and 31 by Alabama. I mean, it ended up being down to a normal football play because it wasn't thrown up in the air. You have to jump to contest it with 3 or 4 other defenders. He did jump in the air and came down to his feet in bounds, but it ended up being a normal football play because it was a one-on-one situation. He made the move to the inside, probably pushed off a little bit, came back to the outside. The quarterback threw a strike 35 yards on a rope line, and it was successful. So that's the one play that will live. In 2023, that's what they'll think about, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Who's your new player of the year?
Player of the year, the newcomer. Well, I'd say Cody Schrader of Missouri ended up, I think, was 1,499 yards, led the conference. Down. He was Truman State. It was a very good academic school. He walked down to Missouri with like the 5th or 6th string, and the coach just agreed to it because a donor mentioned it to him. Here he ends up leading the SEC in rushing. That's incredible. That was I think that was my favorite story, I think, of the year player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've had some good stories this year too. I mean, just some, some phenomenal stories. Oh yeah. Okay, let's talk coaches. Who's the coach you just can't forget about?
Eli Drinkowitz of Missouri was on the hot seat, Donna, and he comes back with a strong 10-2 season. Lost LSU by 10 at home, then he lost to Georgia on the road. I mean, everybody lost to Georgia on the road, right, in Athens for years now. So I think Missouri has a chance now, and then they can beat Ohio State. Of course, Ohio State's not the same team because their quarterback's in the transfer portal, but to beat a team of the caliber of Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl, they'll have a big contingent of people, I'm sure, traveling from Missouri down to Dallas for that Cotton Bowl game. Yeah, Eli Drinkwitz, and then Nick Saban was what he did. He benched his own quarterback. He always talks about the naysayers, but I always like to remind him the biggest naysayer was you. You benched your own quarterback, right, Donna? Was it? I didn't bench him. You didn't bench him, right? You benched your own quarterback. So don't tell me about doubters and naysayers. You're the one who benched him. So but they came back and matured after that Texas game, that dreadful South Florida game. All credit to South Florida. They gave Alabama everything they wanted, but they continued to get better. And they won all these games, reached the championship game against Georgia, who was a 2-time defending national champion, 29-game winning streak, and they were able to win the ball game and get themselves in the playoff. So that was quite an ascent through the course of the entire year.
The show's almost over, so about 30 seconds left. Yeah. AP and Kelly, as we see it, what's next for AP and Kelly?
Yeah, I think probably, Don, we're going to try to probably get somebody from the Rose Bowl on to talk about that game because Alabama will be in that semifinal game. And like I said, this will be the first time that they'll physically play in the Rose Bowl game and not the one in Dallas where they had to move it. So I'd like to maybe get somebody on to discuss the options for the fans and the people coming to California.
And don't forget, guys, you can find AP and Kelly right here at this station, IC Radio, and that's Football Friday at 4. AP, thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you, Donna. 4 p.m. Central, IC Radio, AP and Kelly, as we see it. Look forward to it. Thank you so much for having us, Donna. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you shortly with another awesome guest. You hang in there.